afternoon, everybody. We continue with the evidence of Mr. Lambert. As this morning, the evidence is going to be live streamed with a 15-minute delay. Those with mobile telephones may use them to record what they hear in the hearing room, but only after 15 minutes have elapsed since the event that they're transmitting. They may not be used for recording or photography. Thank you. Mr. Barr.
Thank you, sir. Could we have up to start with, please, 719838? This is a personnel note. We understand it's one of yours. It dates from 1995 and is recording a meeting on the 6th of September 1995. We see in the first paragraph that the basics are recorded, that you'd had a wide-ranging discussion with HN16 10 months into her deployment and were reviewing her strategy. With that context, could we go to the penultimate paragraph on that page, please? Give you a moment to read that.
Yes.
We see at the bottom, don't we, you adverting to the dilemma that we were exploring yesterday, namely a shallow paddler is unlikely to get anywhere, but a deep swimmer has to tread a difficult line between participation and commanding respect. This is where good tradecraft comes in. What advice did you give HN 26 on the subject of good tradecraft when getting involved with those committing crimes claimed by the ALF?
The value of close friendships with individuals that were known or suspected to be involved in direct action, and the willingness to, I suppose, first of all, there'd be the need for her conviction that direct action was the right thing, and that she'd come to this conclusion.
That's talking the talk. Can we move to walking the walk? Did you advise her she would have to show some bottle?
To follow the example of other field officers who had successfully negotiated this by taking part in activity where, I meant reference to a field mentor, but generally officers being able to assist in a minor way, driving and so forth. And I think by this point, I think she was, she was really quite familiar with a lot of this good tradecraft.
And these examples would include HN1 and yourself?
Yes.
Can we look at the last paragraph on that page, which runs over the page? Just give a moment for that to come up. Does the advice recorded in this paragraph amount to you could consider getting arrested as a hunt saboteur? That might increase your credibility within the group, and that would be no problem as long as you don't break cover.
Yes.
Even up to and including going to court. Then you're making a distinction, aren't you, between a public order arrest and those which arise from clandestine criminal activity.
Yes.
Do you mean by that the sort of offences that were being claimed under the ALF banner?
Yes.
Not officially sanctioned to participate in that sort of crime. If you get caught, you will be off the unit.
I think I would have had in mind serious cases as I've outlined already.
And does it amount to this? You're telling her you are going to have to get involved, show some bottle, but whatever you do, don't get caught.
No, I don't think it does.
And if you do get caught, we'll have to return you to ordinary duties.
No, I don't think that's a fair interpretation.
Well, how then does one tread the line and get into an ALF cell without participating in clandestine criminal activity?
By taking part in a minor role in the way that I've outlined.
Can we test that against an example we're going to come to in more detail in a moment? We know that HN26 goes on to participate in the release of mink in Hampshire. That was clandestine criminal activity, wasn't it?
Yes.
In which she participated.
Yes, in a minor role.
And so the advice here, the latter have never been sanctioned, isn't quite right, is it? Because you did go on to sanction HN26 participating in clandestine criminal activity.
Yes, I think, I could have been clearer in that last sentence. I'm sure that she had the correct understanding.
Can we take that document down now, and can we go to 247472, please? This is a file note about HN26 dated the 30th of January 1998 about a meeting the day before. Please keep that date in mind because I'm going to come back to it. It has the initials RJ at the bottom. Was that the pseudonym you were using, Robert Johnson?
Yes.
Why did you use that pseudonym in internal SDS documents?
I think it just reflected the point in time where the unit was operating for the first time in that guise, Johnson, Graham, Greene, and that's the context for it.
If we look at the preamble and then the first two bullet points, would I be right to understand that what is happening here is you and Sergeant Greene are talking to HN26, and what you are saying to her is that in your views, her operation is best terminated in March 1999 because infiltrating the ALF at a national level was no longer a realistic option.
Yes.
And that she should focus for the remainder of her deployment on London Animal Action.
Yes.
Did you mean March 99 or did you mean March 98?
Oh yeah. Well, I suppose I need to be reminded of what her start date was, but
94. She went in November 94.
I can't recall then, I'm sorry.
And then if we zoom out again, out of that and then go to the bottom paragraph, it paints a picture of her being disappointed but accepting of the position.
Yes, okay, got it, yeah.
Can you help us with why you and Sergeant Greene had come to the conclusion that infiltrating the ALF at a national level was no longer a realistic proposition for this officer?
I can't recall now. I guess, obviously at the time, both he and I, for whatever reason, we came to that conclusion. I can't recall it.
Was it a conclusion that nobody could infiltrate the ALF at a national level, or was it a conclusion that this officer couldn't realistically do it?
Well, it obviously relates to this officer, so that's clear. I can't say more than that.
Holding the date in mind, 29th of January 1998, can we take the document down and have up, please, 247517? This is a branch note dated the 26th of February 1998, recording a strategy meeting with C Squad on the 25th of February 1998. So less than 4 weeks later. And it deals with various officers, but if we concentrate on the section which says D.I. Lambert outlined current SDS coverage as follows, and then the road bridge section. Thank you. Has recently become involved in a small group which has the potential to commit serious criminal damage. That is painting a completely different picture of where HN26 deployment is at.
And what's the difference, forgive me, the difference in time?
Between the 29th of January and the 25th of February, so 27 days later.
Yes.
My question to you is, in those 27 days, what had happened?
Well, I think what had happened is this, that within her own orbit, so, we were talking previously about, the national scene, but within her own orbit, I think that this potential arose. So, I mean, in some ways, well, we can be clear that she hadn't, in that month, I think it's fair to conclude that she hadn't really moved out of her circle of activists, but
what has she told you that has caused you to conclude that she was involved in a small group with the potential to commit serious criminal
clearly
damage?
the detail, she would have provided some detail about this small group, which it does become clear.
Does she tell you anything about how she's become involved with this small group?
Well, I'm sure she would have done. I don't know. I shouldn't speculate, I suppose, but I think it's important to reflect on the work that she had done, and maybe after that meeting, maybe she's just had an opportunity to get closer to particular individuals, as indeed transpires.
Was she telling you at that stage that she'd got close to Mr. Frampton?
I can't recall the precise chronology, but I guess that's what is at issue here, I think.
And Mr. Frampton's name would immediately strike a chord in your mind, wouldn't it, as someone who had the potential to commit serious criminal damage?
Yes.
And so, from your point of view, a very positive and exciting development.
Yes.
Any discussion between you and her about how she has suddenly turned around a deployment that looked like it was going nowhere into one with this positive, exciting development?
No, well, not that I can recall, but no, I shouldn't speculate. I don't recall.
Can we take that down now, please? And can we have 247547? This is tab B228, sir. This is one of your file notes. It's dated the 16th of March 1998, so a few weeks later, and it's copied to HN58. On page 1, if we look at the first paragraph, and if I ask you to concentrate in particular at the top of that, this is the first written record we have, recording that you know that the cell she has infiltrated is Joe Tex's cell.
Yes.
And for the avoidance of doubt, that's Mr. Frampton, isn't it?
Yes.
And it records quite how important Mr. Frampton is in terms of being of interest to you at the time.
Was understood to be at that time, yes.
A man of particular interest to you, who your understanding was had been getting away with ALF-style actions for a long while.
Well, I don't recall now what that was based on, but that appears to be the position.
Can we look at the last paragraph on the page, please? Give you a moment to read that.
Yeah, thank you.
Picking up on the fact that Mr. Frampton has taken HN26 into his confidence, and the phrase, "She is now committed to her cover role to an unprecedented extent." What did you mean by committed to her cover role to an unprecedented extent?
Well, far more involved with a different calibre of activist, far more committed in that sense.
Did it in any way reflect a very close personal connection between HN26 and Mr. Frampton?
Clearly, it involved a close friendship. I don't believe at that time that either myself or Bernie Greene or any of the other members of the team that we had any understanding that she was, or that she was or not involved in a sexual relationship with Joe Tex.
Did you ask her?
I didn't. I'm sure I didn't ask her directly, because I didn't. I don't think I ever did.
Did she say anything to you to the effect that she was doing that, or allude to it in any way?
No.
If we look towards the end of the paragraph, while each case has to be judged on its merits, SGS has the experience, most recently with Jeff Shepherd, to mount successful preemptive operations in sensitive ALF cases where source protection is of the essence. Am I right to understand that what you're really referring to there are operations such as those of HN 81, which led to Mr. Shepherd's arrest, and your own operation, which led to the arrests of Mr. Shepherd and Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Those both were operations where the SDS undercover officer remained in place after the event.
Yes.
And was not disclosed to the courts.
Yes.
And had, from your point of view, the successful outcome of convictions of people for ALF crimes.
Yes.
And would it be right to say that you are thinking now that HN26 has got into Frampton's confidence, there's an opportunity to use the same tactics and try and get Mr. Frampton convicted?
Yes.
And was that strategy one that you discussed with HN26?
Well, I would. I'm sure that it would have been, but I can't recall the chronology.
If we go to page 2 of the document, paragraph 2, and the last 4 lines especially once it's up. Have I interpreted this correctly? You are saying here that Frampton's cell isn't covered by Arnie, nor or C Squad. And that, from your point of view, is, to put it mildly, operationally desirable.
Yes.
And is it desirable because the last thing you want when you are trying to repeat what you did and what HN1 did is to have anybody else reporting on events at the same time?
Well, I know it tends to read that way. I haven't quite been able to figure out precisely what I was meaning in the towards the end of this, but no, because if you think about the HN1 case, you know that did involve other source reporting.
Well, there may come a time when other resources need to be used, but why is it operationally desirable not to have anybody involved but the SDS at this stage?
So I'll just try reading this. Well, look, I can't immediately figure that out, I'm sorry.
Does it give the SDS complete freedom of action until you reach the stage where you need to bring somebody else in?
I just don't, I'm not sure.
Could we go to paragraph 4, please? I'll give you a moment to read that. A testament to her ingenuity and dedication, a tribute to Roadbridge's willingness to explore all options available to her. What options had she explored to make this significant breakthrough?
At the time, I knew precisely what I was referring to. It would have been, factors within her target area. Maybe, I don't know.
Is this a euphemism for she started to sleep with him?
No, it wasn't.
Are you sure?
Well, I'm sure that when I was writing this, that was not my intention at all.
Can we have the next paragraph, please? Paragraph 5, thank you. Now regularly enhancing her cover credibility by staying overnight with activists when they travel to different parts of the country on demonstrations and other business. In April, she plans to travel with Tex and others to a week-long animal rights gathering in Holland, and this will further enhance her standing. Had she ever stayed overnight with activists when they travelled to events outside London before this?
Well, I cannot recall. I'd be surprised if she hadn't.
So why are you emphasising now in this document that she had been staying overnight with activists? And that a week-long stay... Why are you emphasising now that she is staying overnight with activists and that a week-long stay in Holland will further enhance her standing?
Because of the particular activists that she's travelling with.
Is it a way of saying, euphemistically, that lots of other activists will see that she is in a relationship with Mr. Frampton?
That clearly that she would be seen to be with him and others, but I think as far as I was concerned at that stage, there was no suggestion that she was involved or might be involved in a sexual relationship with Tex.
Who covered the trip to Holland from the back office?
I think is this a trip to, is it
Leiden.
Leiden? Yeah, I spoke to this morning. I think I do feature in a list two officers or three officers that were covered. I'm pretty sure that I would remember if I had in fact been there, and the fact that I can't remember going, I'm inclined to think that I didn't.
Would it help if the document were put up which authorises his travel?
If you've got the URN, sir, that would be very helpful.
MPS 0527645. MPS 0527645.
If you could go on to the next page, please. Thank you. Do you have any reason to suppose that you did not travel to Holland?
Well, let me. In order to provide essential backup, I intend sending D.I. Lambert to cover and D.S. Rini. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that for whatever reason I didn't go. I mean, it's just. Leiden. I'm sure I remember. Places abroad that I don't think I've ever been there.
When you accompanied officers on overseas trips, in how close a proximity were you to them?
Well, it would depend on each particular trip and what was happening. But broadly, we would maintain a distance. We didn't want to be too close for obvious reasons, but we wanted to be close enough in case they had an emergency problem of some kind.
Would you have expected Detective Sergeant Greeny to have physically seen Thompson and HN26 in Leiden?
What's the question?
Would you have expected?
Would I have expected him?
Detective Sergeant Greeny to have seen HN26 and Detective Sergeant Thompson in Leiden?
Over 3. They go. Oh, I see. They travel at slightly different times. Well, possibly, but I can think of occasions where the management officer wouldn't have an actual sighting of the undercover officer.
Did you speak to HN26 before she travelled to Leiden?
I can't recall.
Would it be fair to say that when you send officers abroad with activists, you have to be particularly careful about their security?
Yes.
Much harder when they're overseas to help them if they get into trouble.
Yes.
Did you discuss with her what level of threat she might have felt at that time?
Well, I'm sure that either myself or DS Greenie or the HN58, one of us would have briefed her and discussed issues very thoroughly.
What level of threat did she perceive herself to be at in Leiden?
I think she would have perceived the threat to be pretty mild. I think she'd be, fairly, unless there was, who can say at the time, but on the face of it, workshops, like-minded individuals.
Within a cell of people committing significant criminal offences?
I see. Is this come?
Well, this is from the documents we've looked at earlier. We know that by this stage she's...
Oh, with the people she's...
Yeah.
Yes, but okay. But given the context, I would...
And was the fact that she was at a pretty low level of threat, despite mixing with people who you believed were committing quite significant criminal offences, because she was in a relationship with Frampton?
No, that's not the case.
And you didn't have to worry about her security very much for that reason?
No, that's not fair.
Presumably, looking at it the other way, if there had been significant concerns about her security, you would have gone, wouldn't you?
No, that's not fair at all.
Can we take that down, please? Can we go back to the last document, 247547? And can we have page 3, please? And can we have, once we get there, the last paragraph of text?
Yes.
Shrewd enough to notice a change in Roadbridge's lifestyle commensurate with a progression to serious ALF status. What did you mean by lifestyle?
Mixing with the group of committed ALF activists that she was now doing.
Suffice to say here, her current profile can only help offset any lingering doubts that might exist in his mind. Her current profile, what did you mean by that?
The status of, for example, travelling to Leiden with a group. These are her close friends. It's all about friendship, and for someone like Brendan McNally, there's a sort of a ready appreciation by, where individuals sit by virtue of their circle.
Was it because HN26 was very close to Frampton?
That was not my understanding at the time. Yes, I was always aware of the risk of a sexual relationship arising, but I had no reason to suspect that in this case at this time.
Did you receive from any other source, whilst HN26 was deployed, anything to suggest that Frampton and HN26 were in an intimate relationship?
No, I didn't, and I think I can say when I left the unit later that year, I don't think I had heard that either directly or indirectly.
Mr. Gravett and the activist we are calling Walter have both given evidence to the inquiry to the effect that they knew and witnessed HN26 and Frampton in circumstances which indicated they were in an intimate relationship. Can you recall whether you ever saw any intelligence coming in from any other source, please don't identify the source, to that effect?
No.
Did you later hear any gossip to the effect that they had been in an intimate relationship?
Yes.
At what point?
It's hard to pin it down. I think at the point when HN26 concluded her operation, and I think it's at that same time that she resigns from the police.
HN1 told us that at some point after he left, it became common knowledge that HN26 and Frampton were in a sexual relationship. Might that have been the time you're adverting to, namely when she leaves the police?
Yes.
Did you know at any time before that?
I don't believe I did.
Operation Hearn were told by HN26's now ex-husband that she had told him 6 months before the end of her deployment that she was in an intimate relationship with an activist called Joe. Would it be right to understand you never heard anything through that source?
That's correct.
Did you ever hear later on that HN26's ex-husband had provided that information?
No, not that I can recall.
Can we take the document down now, please? And can we move on to the fruits of HN26's position within the ALF cell led by Frampton? Could we have up, please, 247766? This is tab B237, sir. This is a file note made by Detective Sergeant Greeny. It is dated the 7th of August 1998, and it is about the then imminent action to release the mink on the 8th of August. Once you're ready, we'll look at the next page.
Yes, thank you.
If you need if you need to look at the next page as well, by all means.
Yes, but I just wanted to ask, the privacy, that's not Frampton, no, right.
No, Frampton's name is not being redacted.
Sorry, yeah.
Maybe that I can ask some questions, and if you need to look at the detail,
Yes,
you can
yes,
just say
yes.
so. This is generated on the 7th for an action which is going to take place in the early hours of the 8th of August. Is this reported orally by HN26 or by telephone? Can you recall?
No, I mean the fact that Bernie Greenie is reporting it, no, I can't recall.
Can you recall speaking to HN26 before she embarked on this action?
No, I can't.
Would you have done so?
Well, if I had been around at that point, yes.
There's quite a lot of detail in this report, in particular, not just about the planned action to release the mink, but also, it is said, 2 further operations, one to liberate animals in Essex, as the ALF would describe it, and the other an planned arson attack in the Thames Valley.
Right.
I'm trying to explore whether all of this intelligence comes in suddenly at the last minute from HN26, or whether it had come in earlier.
I can't say today. I think obviously at the time, Bernie Greenie has developed this role with her. It could have been separate reporting. It could have been, I don't know now. I don't know.
The position is, tell me if this is a fair summation, your UCO is going to participate in the release of a large number of mink. The report puts it in the hundreds, and we know that this activity she's given the go-ahead to do. Can you help us with the circumstances in which HN26 is instructed that she can participate in this action?
Only to the extent that I know the DCI authorised it, but the run up to it, I can't today call it.
When you say when HN58 was your DCI at the time, when you say he authorised it, do you mean her participation in the action?
Yes.
Were you party to that decision?
Well, provided I was on duty, I would have been, of course, yeah.
And the strategy, if I've understood it correctly, is because you have intelligence to suggest there are going to be 2 more actions in the near future, and one of them is of a severity that might lead to a significant custodial sentence. The idea is for HN 26 to participate in the Mink action, presumably if necessary to participate in the action in Essex with a view to arresting Frampton and any associates as they conspire to commit arson.
Yes.
That has distinct echoes of your own deployment and that of HN1. Can we take it from those similarities that HN 58 would have had the benefit of your advice in making the decision that he did?
Yeah, at some stage, yes, of course.
There was also a decision, wasn't there, not to tell Hampshire Police that a Metropolitan Police Service undercover police officer was participating in crime on their patch?
Yeah. Yes.
Who made that decision?
Well, that one would have definitely been above my pay grade, so I can't recall whether it went above the DCI or not.
Are you able to give positive evidence that any officer above HN 58 knew anything about this in advance?
No, not today. Obviously, I would have had a clear understanding at the time.
Should not authorization to participate in a crime of this severity have been a question for a much more senior officer than either yourself or DCI HN 58?
Well, I can see the case for that, and it may well have happened. Again, I don't know what the time constraints were.
This is a serious matter, isn't it? This is participation in quite a significant crime.
Yes.
Is the reality that you and HN 58 were so excited at the prospect of potting Mr. Frampton that you did not consult higher authority?
I honestly can't speak to that. I don't think that's the case.
Or did you think that this was the level of criminal activity that could be authorised at DCI level?
I would. Yes, I probably thought that it would. I would have thought that that it would go up the chain to some extent.
What was your understanding at the time as to the level of authority required to participate in a burglary which would lead to the release of hundreds of mink?
I don't know. I honestly don't know now what my understanding would have been as regards an authority level in terms of rank.
Would it be fair to say that you and HN 58 seriously exceeded your powers by authorising HN 26 to participate in this crime?
Well, that wasn't my understanding at the time.
I'm asking you now.
Yeah, well, no, I think, okay, look, I honestly can't really recall anything about what I was doing over this short period. I'm just reading a very detailed report from Bernie Greene, which, if nothing else, confirms the change in roles that we spoke about this morning. He has now, with all of his knowledge from the place where he worked previously, he's now taken on a large part of what previously I would have done. Now, whether I was there, I'm sure, chances are I was, but I would have, the authorisation, I thought, was as it should be. If it was just at DCI level, then I would have thought, well, that was obviously the right thing.
Was the driving force behind the decision not to tell Hampshire Police that it would give rise to a risk either that the SDS operation would be compromised or that action would be taken to frustrate the release of the mink?
Very difficult. I don't know what the thinking would have been at the time. Apart an element of source protection, and perhaps a concern at that time that that the intelligence might not be handled correctly. I don't know.
A risk of breaching the golden rule.
I don't think that's quite, does this issue justice. I mean, I can think of cases where a constabulary would be informed, but there we are. It was a judgment call based on the understanding of what the implications would have been at that time.
Could we take the document down now and have up 247777, tab B238, sir? This is a document which bears your initials. It's an update dated the 10th of August. I'll give you a moment to familiarise yourself with the contents.
Yes, thank you.
And so we can see from that in terms of HN26's future, the plan remains as you've described it. She's going to take part in another action with an overall end goal of securing the arrest of Frampton and others on more serious charges in the longer term.
Yes.
The problem that's occurred in the meantime is that, in fact, in the early hours of the 8th of August, between 3,000 and 6,000 mink had been released, and they were causing considerable damage both to the local ecosystem and domestic pets. Accepting that the numbers actually released were an order of magnitude greater than those anticipated in the report we've just looked at, it was foreseeable, wasn't it, that the release even of hundreds of mink into the environment was going to cause serious problems?
I'm sure that it could have been anticipated and probably should have been anticipated, and it should have been it should at the very least have been factored into the decision-making process. To the best of my recollection, it wasn't. So it was an oversight.
That blind spot, was it the result of essentially the excitement at the prospect of getting Mr. Frampton convicted of a serious crime?
I should have I should have noted this earlier. I don't think excitement really is fair. I don't think that comes into it. You know, this was
Professional satisfaction.
well, you know, the operation, and nevertheless, it was simply, you know, really unfortunate ignorance of not really thinking it through, and so this came as quite a surprise, but really it shouldn't have done. So it was a mistake.
And perhaps an illustration of why senior officers should decide whether or not this sort of action proceeds.
Well, you know, they may well have done, but well, there we are. It's
There we are indeed. Can we take that down, please? And can we move now to the deployment of Detective Constable Mark Jenner? Can I take you back to the early 1995 and preparations in the early days of Mr. Jenner's recruitment and service? Do you recall visiting Detective Constable Jenner and his wife, who we are calling S?
yes, but I'd be very surprised if I met them on my own when he was being recruited. There would, to the best of my recollection, myself and DCI Edmondson, we did these home visits together.
So we have you, DCI Edmondson, DC Jenner, and S at their home.
Yes.
And this was a meeting pre the decision to recruit Detective Constable Jenner, or at least at a point in time when it's not too late for him to back out.
Yes.
You knew by that stage, for a variety of reasons, not least your own conduct, that there was a risk of sexual activity undercover.
Yes.
You didn't raise that risk with S, did you?
No.
Why not?
Well, it was, it was deliberate on my part. So it was, it was, looking back on it, obviously I can see it was wrong, and for that reason I could have foreseen it, and I probably, I shouldn't have taken the job on. For that reason alone, I wasn't really suited. So, yeah, I mean, and now I should apologise to S and other partners, spouses in the same way.
Is the reason that you didn't tell her because you thought it might lead her to dissuade DC Jenner from joining the SDS?
I don't know how far I got with thinking about it. I literally just completely, blotted it out of my mind, and I sought to deal with the interview. I sought to deal with it properly and fairly, but of course,
There's nothing fair about depriving her of the opportunity to give informed consent.
Well, no, of course. No, I see that.
In effect, you duped her.
Yes, and I apologise for that.
And it shows, doesn't it, a dismissive attitude to the partners of SDS officers.
Yes, I think so.
Who were predominantly female.
Yes.
And therefore it was a form of misogyny.
Yeah.
S says that her recollection is that you emphasised welfare. Is that something that you would have emphasised during the meeting?
Yes, I think so. Yes, and as you know, I've said over the last day or so, I felt at the time that the informal arrangements that we had on the SDS, these regular meetings, I felt, and I know that DCI Edmondson felt, that it provided a lot more support than officers, special branch officers, received in other roles. You know, this was on a different level.
Well, you say that. We're aware that you had some involvement with S when the family had to move.
Yes.
As a result of near compromises. But other than that, S's recollection is essentially that she didn't get support from the SDS. Do you take issue with that?
Pardon?
Do you take issue with that? She says that she didn't get the support that she was led to believe that she would get.
No. Well, look, I can't disagree if that, I can imagine. Well, I know for sure that that partners, were being asked to endure these, long absences with the undercover officer, being away from home. It was.
And then learning that absence was because they were living with another woman in S's case.
As things turned out.
Was the purpose of the initial home visit really about the SDS ensuring that the officer's domestic situation would support the SDS operation?
I think that was obviously a large part of it, but I think, it was in our own different ways. It was Keith Edmondson and myself. We were offering to be around if ever there was a problem available. I guess looking back, it was never really going to be sufficient, and yet at the same time, there would be some partners or spouse who were, happy with.
It's what you were really interested in was whether S would support Detective Constable Jenner.
That would be a big part of it.
Can we move now to the question of the advice that you gave Detective Constable Jenner? Did you give him any advice about sexual activity undercover?
I don't believe that I did.
Can we have up 735326, please? Sir, that's B92. This is Mr. Jenner's targeting strategy dated the 1st of February 1995. if we look at page 6, bears your name. Did you write this document?
Yes.
Could we go back to page 1, please? On the basis of what information did you produce this document?
Can I quickly read?
Please.
Anything I should?
Please do. I am interested, I think probably for these purposes, well, maybe let's just take it a step at a time. Let's have 1.1 up first on page 1. And this is where you're saying that the strategy is against community-based anarchist activists in northeast London. Paragraph 1.4, please. I'll let you read that.
Yes, thank you.
The emphasis there seems to be on anarchy and anarchist groups.
Yes.
What was the basis of writing a targeting strategy targeting Mr. Jenner at anarchist groups?
Well, it was of its time, and at that time there was either already SDS coverage in that field, and there certainly had been in the years, it's over several years leading up to that point in time.
Did your own deployment inform this document?
To a slight extent, not greatly.
Did Detective Sergeant Morris's?
It's possible, yeah.
If we could go
no, sorry.
I beg your pardon?
No, it's okay.
Page 2, paragraph 2.3, please. Under a section entitled Nature of the Target. Give you a moment to read that.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Jenner told us that in practice he ended up targeting Mr. Metcalfe. Was that the practical consequence of this strategy, is that he ended up targeting an individual rather than a group?
Yeah, okay, yes.
Was that planned?
It would have, I'm sure it would have been allowed for, because that was pretty common experience, that it was an individual or a group of individuals within a wider group, that the way that SDS deployments tended to develop.
Can you help us with some curiosities in this paragraph? The first is the assertion that Mark Metcalfe is an anarchist, because Mr. Metcalfe's firm evidence was that he's not an anarchist.
Yes. I can't recall now, but there, I think.
Put this another way, what made you think Mr. Metcalfe was an anarchist?
Today, I can't remember, but it would have been, at the time, it would have been clear.
Well, if we were to accept Mr. Metcalfe's evidence that he wasn't and never had been an anarchist, it wouldn't have been clear.
No, I only meant that it was, clear to the SDS at the time. But I think what I should say is that there was always, quite an overlap between anarchists and others. So it may well be that maybe I was wrong.
The second curiosity is it attributes Mark Metcalfe to the Hackney Community Defence Association. Our understanding is that, in fact, Mark Metcalfe is associated with the Colin Roach Centre,
Right.
and that it was Dr. Graham Smith who ran the Hackney
Okay.
Community Defence Association,
Yeah.
albeit from premises, the Colin Roach Centre.
Yeah.
How did you come to get that wrong as well?
Well, I'm not sure that I got either wrong, but if I did, then the origins of that would be in intelligence, whether it, C Squad intelligence, or indeed SDS intelligence. So I can't say more than that.
When did you realise that Mark Metcalfe was not a part of the Hackney Community Defence Association?
I can't recall now.
When did you realise that Mark Metcalfe wasn't an anarchist?
I can't recall now.
Can we go to page 4 and paragraph 3.3, please? This suggests that you're using Hackney Community Defence Association as a stepping stone or an oblique approach into other groups.
Yes.
In those circumstances, why do we see a lot of reporting about the Hackney Community Defence Association?
In those circumstances, why?
Why is HCDA reported on if it is a vehicle to get to another target? Is it because the reality is it was also of interest?
Well, I think yes, almost certainly.
Why is it then, if the initial intention is to use HCDA as a stepping stone, that Detective Constable Jenner in fact spends so much of his time at the Colin Roach Centre and reporting on the Hackney Community Defence Association?
Well, if that was the case, then it must have been that it enabled him to infiltrate groups, individuals that were considered his long-term objective.
As we'll come to, he did indeed get into some other groups, but he also reports a great deal on the Colin Roach Centre and the HCDA. Can I take it from that they were of significant interest, as it turned out, in their own right to the Metropolitan Police?
There was some, I can't remember now, but clearly there was some special branch interest in that reporting.
Notwithstanding that the initial targeting had completely understood the nature of Mr. Metcalfe's political beliefs and the HCDA's
Indeed,
identity.
yes.
Can we move, please, to the top of page 5? If we look at that paragraph, It records advice that you appear to have given to Detective Constable Jenner.
Yeah.
His profile would receive a significant boost if at his first important meetings he was seen in a company of a friend, in inverted commas, rather than appearing as a loner. Can you help us with the advice you gave Detective Constable Jenner in that regard?
Well, in making that very point.
And it says, no doubt he will have had benefited from advice given by former operatives in this and allied fields. I think you've adverted to your belief that it wasn't just the animal rights field, but also the anarchist field, which gave rise to a high incidence of sexual relationships.
Yes.
Were you advising Detective Constable Jenner that it would help him be accepted by a community group if he got himself a girlfriend?
No.
Can we take the document down now, please, and have up 748092? This is the start of a pack of documents relating to a visit by Chief Superintendent Black and the AXO Assistant Commissioner Special Operations Vaness, a visit which took place on the 7th of July 1998. This is the covering note from HN 58. If we go to the next page, we will see the beginning of the document itself. Can you recall who drafted this?
Can I recall?
Who drafted it?
Drafted, not immediately.
Okay, well, let's go then to page 9.
Special.
And this is a page which has pen pictures of then serving officers. That for Detective Constable Jenner is in the second half of the page. Could we have that expanded, please?
Yes, thank you.
Who wrote that?
I can't recall. It could be myself. 95. It's not a lot to go on. The word inveigled doesn't seem like one of mine, but it could well be. Could have been Keith Edmondson or DS, but anyway, I'm.
You're not sure. You're not sure.
No, sorry. No.
While maintaining an inside view of public order events in the Hackney area, the officer has a unique access to a range of anti-police campaigns in London. So we can take it from this, can't we, that the SDS is trumpeting to AXO Vaness and Chief Superintendent Black that they have an undercover police officer in the Hackney area reporting on a range of anti-police campaigns.
Yes.
In the atmosphere at the time, that was regarded as an achievement.
Yes.
And an anti-police campaign would be what?
It would be an example.
Well, what was the definition of an anti-police campaign?
Hard to come up with a definition. I think it's a...
Can I suggest campaign against the police?
Well, yeah, okay, of course,
Would
yes.
would it amount to cover any campaign against the police?
Yes, campaigns against the police, sure.
What was the reaction of Chief Superintendent Black to that news?
I can't recall his reaction.
What was the reaction of Assistant Commissioner Special Operations Vanessa to that news?
No, I can't recall reactions apart from the fact it, seemed to be. It would have. Well, let's put it this way: I can't recall much about the meeting. I got a vague recollection of it. I'm sure if a senior officer had expressed any concerns, I'm sure I would. Certainly, that would have been noted.
So we can be sure that they didn't press the stop button.
That's correct, yes.
But as to whether it received positive praise or not, you can't recall.
Yeah.
Can we have a look at page 8 at the bottom, please, whilst we're on this document? And just to expand it, that's it. 8. This is the pen picture for HN26.
26.
Yes. Who we've just been dealing with.
Right, yeah, got it, yeah.
The bottom of that, it says, currently involved in a small London-based ALF cell who are engaged in a number of minor actions in the home counties. So you are not being shy here of broadcasting to the top brass that you've got an officer inside an ALF cell.
Yes.
And they would be known by any professional police officer to be very small.
Yes.
And very secure.
Not necessarily very secure.
Well, you would say not secure enough for you, but they are secretive small cells, aren't they?
Yes, yes.
Engaged in minor actions. And that would be understood, wouldn't it, to mean criminal activity?
Yes.
Again, can we take it that neither of these senior officers, having been given this paper, pressed the stop button on HN26's activities?
Yes.
Can you recall whether there was any positive praise?
I can't, no.
So would that be an appropriate time to take the mid-afternoon break?
Certainly. We'll break for a quarter of an hour.
We looked before the break, Mr. Lambert, at your targeting strategy for Detective Constable Jenner. One of the observations in that document was that there'd been a gap in the SDS's coverage of community activism in the Hackney area. Would I be right in thinking that the previous officer before that gap was John Dines?
I'm not entirely sure. It must be possible.
Can we move now to 245928? This is an event pro forma about an event, forthcoming event on the 16th of March 1996, organised by the Colin Roach Centre. If you look at the text,
Yes.
we appear to be back in the realms of reporting which doesn't engage any realistic prospect of public disorder, does it?
That's correct.
And it doesn't involve, in this instance, any far-left political groups, rather a local campaigning group, the Colin Roach Centre.
Yes.
And a poignant moment to mark the death of Trevor Monaville. Would you accept, as you have for some of the other reporting we've looked at of a similar vein, that this was not appropriate reporting?
Well, it would seem that way now. I can recall at the time it would have been considered appropriate.
Mr. Monaville was knifed to death on the street by 5 assailants on the 19th of March 1994. But there had been a campaign on his behalf following allegations about his treatment by police on New Year's Eve in 1997. Was the Trevor Monaville campaign perceived as an anti-police campaign?
Well, I don't think it should have been. Whether it was, might by some, but by us on the SDS, no, I don't think so.
Well, why was it being reported on?
I think
wasn't.
I think the same as we've seen in respect of other justice campaigns. There was value for C Squad to receive this information and to be reassured and to let local police, public order police, to be aware that this is an assessment from Special Branch, and subsequent to my SDS deployment, I worked on area liaison as a DI, and I probably had some responsibility for that area, Stoke Newington. And
why does...
Sorry, I know I'm digressing, but I just wanted to make the point that I know for sure that local police and public order police, they benefited from a sort of reassuring, obviously it would be, they're not going to know it's from the SDS, but they were assured that Special Branch, generally, got things right. And I know you've said to me, well, local police can speak directly and you're not needed, but actually there was value attached to this kind of reporting at the time.
To a gathering of people to remember a man who'd been murdered a year before.
Yes.
Can we take that down and have 740409, please? Page 2. This is a report about Celia Stubbs, 2nd of May, 1995. Again, an event, it's referring to the Colin Roach Centre. Celia Stubbs, the veteran left-wing activist and common law widow of the late Blair Peach, is currently involved with the Colin Roach Centre, particularly in its anti-police activities. She is a regular contributor to the thrice-weekly advice sessions at the Colin Roach Centre, where her experience of community politics and criminal law are much valued by Mark Metcalfe and Graham Smith. Stubbs is participating in the recently started self-defence classes organised by the Hackney Anti-Fascist Collective. What was the significance of her particular involvement in anti-police activities?
I can't recall today. I don't know is it possible just to return to the main page? Yeah. Well, there. This was special branch as it was then. For whatever reason, Celia Stubbs has a record file started in 1974, and then Colin Roach Centre's got a file, Mark Metcalfe's got a file. I mean, there would have just been certainly a reasonable understanding that C Squad would be interested. It seems inappropriate today, but that's how things were.
The context of this, of course, is that Blair Peach died at the hands of the police and was regarded as a particularly emotive case.
Well, that is the context, yes.
And was one reason why the SDS was interested in Celia Stubbs.
No, who knows? Well, today we can't go to her record file or probably any of the other files, but at the time we would have done, and it may have had the reason, maybe nothing to do with the death of her late husband.
Colin Roach Centre CRC, formerly the Hackney Community Defence Association. That's another error as far as the inquiry is aware, because the Colin Roach Centre and the Hackney Community Defence Association were two separate entities. Can you assist us as to how that confusion arose?
I can't. I think either Mark Jenner or the DS report writer of the day would likely be able to answer.
Was it something that didn't particularly matter to the SDS at that stage, because what mattered to them was having a vehicle to report on these various anti-police campaigns, as summarised in the documents for the top brass?
Not for the SDS. For the SDS, the primary purpose was Mark Jenner's targeting strategy. He was not at all the only SDS officer who what's the word, on, you know, on local groups, while retaining his main focus on his target group.
Can we take that down, please, and have 245152? This is a prospective report dated the 2nd of June about a march that is due to take place on the 10th of June. And this is about the Justice for Brian Douglas campaign. If we have a look at paragraph 2, please, first. I'll give you a moment to read that, but my question is going to be, the intelligence is to the effect that the Brian Douglas campaign is capable of pushing back on the SWP.
Okay, yes, I've read that, thank you.
If we go to paragraph 3, please. The point here, you are being told that the meeting was chaired very competently by Mr.
Yes.
Douglas. And if we go to paragraph 4, and in particular the second half of that paragraph, the question is, the family were insisting on a peaceful demonstration.
Yes, thank you.
Page 2, please, in the source comment.
Yes, thank you.
So can we take it from this report? A justice campaign is organising a march. It is doing so competently, pushing back on the SWP. The family don't want any trouble at the march. The SWP are not seeking trouble at the march, but it is being reported on because the police are concerned that it is a incendiary issue and are worried about what it describes as irate black youth.
Well, I would again put it in this way, that it was being reported on because C Squad had to prepare a risk assessment on this, you know, significant public order event. And I think at the time we would have been confident that this would be very useful for that purpose.
So there's a general fear and distrust of police among the factions represented at the planning meeting. Are you able to help us with whether or not the Justice for Brian Douglas campaign cooperated with the police for public order purposes?
Well, I can't recall, but I'm sure that would be the case. That's the indication here. And
this is an event which has clearly been made very public. There's no suggestion here of some surprise event, is there?
But if we had, if we'd sort of, you know, prepared this report and said to a senior officer, look, we're not sure about disseminating this to C squads so that to help them with their risk assessment, I mean, we'd have been laughed at.
It speaks of a general fear and distrust of police. It's right, isn't it, that relations between the police and campaigns like this were strained because of the conduct they were complaining about?
Oh, yes, of course, yes.
And surely having an undercover police officer infiltrating their meetings and reporting on them would have done nothing, if it had been known at the time, to enhance trust and build bridges, would it?
No, that's absolutely true.
Can we take that down now, please? Can we have 245187? This is a report on the event itself. If we could have the first two paragraphs, please. I'll give you a moment to read those.
Yes, thank you.
This is another example, isn't it, of a potentially difficult situation where, much to the credit of the family in question and the stewards in question, trouble was averted.
Yes.
If we could go to source comment, please. Be over the page. Oh, sorry. Thank you. That's a very cynical assessment of militant Labour. Might it have been that they sincerely believed in the cause and that it was consistent with their political beliefs rather than something to be used for cynical manipulation?
Sorry, I'm a bit slow.
Take your time.
Yes, okay, I've read that. Yes.
Yes. So my question is essentially, it's a cynical analysis of militant Labour's motives. Might it be that the truth was that a campaign like the Brian Douglas campaign was something that they sincerely believed in and was consistent with their political objectives?
I think generally the source comment wouldn't be cynical. It would be based on, considerable insight and having been there and having, contacts or associates amongst, within militant Labour, which presumably this is a Peter Francis report.
We understand it to be Mr. Jenner's.
Right, okay.
But whoever it is, it perhaps doesn't matter.
No, of course.
The phrase, an attempt to cash in, is cynical, isn't it?
Well, not if it's accurate.
What I'm suggesting is that the SDS and perhaps part of the wider special branch attitude is very jaded towards these groups. Is it influencing the tone of reporting?
No, on balance, I don't think it is like, from this distance, no, I don't think it is likely.
Could we go to 728967, please? This is the annual report for the SDS for 1995 to 1996. If we could go to page 8, please. And the second paragraph with particular emphasis on the last few lines.
Yes, thank you.
Can you help us with whether or not this is your drafting or somebody else's?
Well, probably someone else's, but I can't be sure.
It talks about Detective Constable Jenner's involvement in justice campaigns over the last year, and the fact his involvement in those issues, for example, the Brian Douglas campaign, at an organisational level, produces high-grade intelligence of the aims and tactics of generally volatile and outraged groups. Is that a reference to the justice campaigns?
Not, it's probably it probably includes that, but I think it goes wider. Aims and tactics of generally volatile groups, but I can't be certain.
Outrage they may very well be as a result of the incidents which they are complaining about. But can I ask you to concentrate on the phrase generally volatile? Was it the view of SDS that black justice campaigns were generally volatile?
I'm not sure that SDS had a view on that. SDS had experience, obviously, in the field, so it's not a view. It's an assessment. It's good intelligence.
The intelligence that black justice campaigns were generally volatile.
Yes.
Isn't that more of a sweeping stereotype?
Well, it may sound like it today, but it was obviously based on experience on the streets and, from a very from a position that gave the officer, real insight.
Well, I've taken you through quite a lot of reports of this ilk in the last 2 days, and time and again we've seen that the attitude of the family has been very responsible and peaceful. And time and again the behaviour of the stewards has averted serious trouble.
Yes.
Would you accept that the SDS had a stereotypical racist view of black justice campaigns?
No, I wouldn't accept that, and I don't really see any evidence of that in this report.
Can we take that document down now? You are managing a number of undercover police officers who are reporting on justice campaigns, many of which are campaigns with a racial dimension. Trevor Morris, Peter Francis, Mark Jenner, and HN81. They don't all overlap, but at any given time there's usually more than one of them. did you get together and speak to the officers reporting on these issues to share knowledge and to discuss tactics, anything of that kind?
I'm sure there would have been tactical discussions with each of them, and possibly with a group of some or all of them. There was a move over let's say probably around about 96, where a change of office or a change of meeting place meant that on either the Monday or the Thursday meeting that smaller groups could discuss matters of common interest. I think we called them affinity groups, and so that would obviously, that would be an example where those sort of largely public order experiences would be exchanged, and for the benefit of the field officers and us managers.
Would you discuss the justice campaigns?
I'm sure that will have come up in discussion. I can't recall it.
What sort of information was being shared?
Well, the kind of information that we're seeing in these reports, or indeed, if you like, perhaps on a Monday after a weekend demonstration. On the Monday, we might have three officers that have each been at the same event, and they're producing reports like this. And so we would have before these, probably a day before these reports are written up, we'd be discussing them live. So all of these issues we've been reading about, on occasions they would be subject to that kind of group discussion.
Under your leadership, did you regard it as part of the SDS's role to protect black justice campaigns?
No, I don't think we had. I'm pretty sure we didn't, and really couldn't have had that objective.
Can we take that document down now, please, and have up 245619? This is a document on a completely different subject. This is about the Mac Libel support campaign. It's the 27th of October 1995. I'll give you a moment to look at the content.
Yes, thank you.
First of all, can you help us? This is only about a month after Helen Steele has visited Mr. Dines' parents.
Right.
Is this opportunistic reporting on the Mac Libel support campaign, or did renewed information about Helen Steele's attempts to find John Dines provoke a renewed interest in the Mac Libel campaign?
I'm pretty sure that it was not, that we're talking about Mark Jenner, aren't we?
That's our understanding.
Yes. I don't, looking at it now, I would imagine that it arose because some of his target group were attending. I don't Yeah,
So you're reporting on the fact that political activists are attending public legal proceedings.
well, yeah, but the question is, was he directed by the office to go there? Of course, I can't recall, but I don't, that would have been unusual. I mean,
Well, I'm asking whether this was an unusual instance
well,
because
I
of
understand
events.
but no, I really don't. I don't think things worked in that way. The priority was for him to go where his close, if you like, his inner circle of people, where they were going. Now, that would probably be the background.
It refers to Mr. Morris saying that it had been discovered that over the years London Greenpeace had been infiltrated on 4 occasions, and revelations about that and some other surprises were going to be made at the trial. Was that of interest to the SDS? See, bottom of
Yes,
paragraph.
right, yes. Quite a start. Well, I mean, yeah, that would be of interest, yes.
What was done with this intelligence?
Just the usual distribution. I mean, it would have gone to C Squad, where Dave Morris had a file, London Greenpeace had a file, and so on.
Would you have expected it to have been disseminated by Special Branch to McDonald's?
No.
Did the SDS disseminate it to McDonald's?
No. Certainly not.
Can we take that down now, please? Could we have up 246090, please? This is the 23rd of March. It's a report of the 22nd of March about a demonstration that's going to be held on the 23rd. It's part of the Ibrahim Say campaign. We see in paragraph 1, Mr. Say died in custody in circumstances where CS gas had been used. And it's about coordinating a picket. This report appears to be reporting on a Black Justice campaign at its very inception. And if we scroll out, please, and look at the second paragraph, we will see there's reporting on some of the steps that are being taken to establish this justice campaign. And then if we scroll out, if you're ready, we'll see reference in the next paragraph to the Socialist Workers' Party's involvement. And then if we could go over the page. Would this have been viewed as an anti-police campaign?
Yes, I think so.
And what was it that was expected of Detective Constable Jenner reporting on this Black Justice campaign at its inception?
Just nothing more or less than in the rest of his deployment.
And so the reporting we saw in paragraph 2 about Mr. Smith of the HCDA exploring recourse to law, that would have been regarded as perfectly appropriate reporting, would it?
At the time, yes.
And the inquiries being made of Deborah Coles at inquest to follow the inquest, regarded as perfectly appropriate reporting at the time?
Yes.
If you go back to that second paragraph, the reference right at the end to the presence of unpredictable black youth on the street, is that a reflection of the attitude of the police at the time to young black people, that they were regarded as unpredictable and a threat to public order?
No, I think it's the officers, Mark Jenner's observation based on his experience, based on his experience of this this area.
And there seems to be a suggestion that the NMP is trying to attract young black people onto the street. There's no suggestion, is there, that the NMP want people to attend this demonstration for any other than entirely lawful and peaceable protest, is there?
No.
And we've seen other reports showing that they stewarded very assiduously.
Yes.
This was inappropriate reporting, wasn't it?
No, I don't think it was. At least at the time, we were, perfectly relaxed about this kind of report where, yes, we're, if you like, we're clearly reporting on individuals that are behaving scrupulously well, and no doubt in most cases working on a very worthwhile campaign. It is just purely for a public order purpose. I think we maintained a complete neutrality in our approach. It was public order, and however well stewarded, there was always potential for disorder of some level, and there was always potential for conflicts between left and right campaigners.
If we have 246694, please. This is another report about the Newham Monitoring Project's work in support of the Ibrahim Say campaign. It's an 8th of October 96 report on a forthcoming event, a picket due to be held on Wednesday the 16th of October. If we could have the text expanded, please. So we've moved on 6 months from the death of Mr. Say. The reference there to the campaign will have lost much of its impetus and venom over the intervening months. Was this anti-police campaign regarded as venomous?
I don't believe they were. I think that the officer is capturing an aspect of this particular campaign that that that's his description.
And it goes on to talk about the picket being small in number but loud and excited.
Yes.
Were black protesters regarded as excitable?
No, and it has to be remembered that the attendance would probably be very mixed. So he's not here reporting on the behaviour of just the black community, but more generally, I suspect.
It's a strange word to use, isn't it, excited, about a gathering to mark the death of a man only 6 months earlier?
Well, excited in the sense of being, the opportunity, of course, to express anger towards the police. I think that would be it.
Can we take that down now and have up 721323, please? Page 6, please. This is a report dated the 22nd of March, 1996. And if we expand it, please. Listing people on the steering committee of the Anti-Nazi League, which meets infrequently and usually in the House of Commons, and you will see there the names of 2 members of Parliament, Bernie Grant and Peter Hain in the middle, and Brian Wilson at the bottom. We've touched upon similar matters before, but would it be right to assume there were no rules within Special Branch or the SDS to prevent reporting on political meetings occurring within the House of Commons?
No, I think that's fair.
Could we take that down now, please? Could we have it an MPS report with 4 zeros and 794? This is a report of the 21st of January. It's by Mr. Jenner. It's about anti-fascist action. If we could have the main text expanded, please.
Yes, thank you.
I'm particularly interested in the sentence that begins, Harold, which is talking about AFA's reported plans to meet up with the Lawrence family and other families who'd suffered racial abuse, with the idea of recruiting them into a broad liberal umbrella organisation with the legitimate aim of promoting public awareness of racial attacks. Something they want to have endorsed by someone of the stature of Jon Snow or another person of some stature who we've made anonymous. The intellectual angle is being delegated to someone from Southampton Redaction who was studying for a doctorate at the university there. This does sound very much, doesn't it, like entirely legitimate anti-racist campaigning?
No, I think not in context. At the beginning of the report, AFA sees itself having a similar role to that of Red Action, to broaden its base and then influence the naive from within. I mean, that, you know, really, I think it's important. I think this shows how Mark Jenner's targeting, you know, is paying off. How the local campaigning fits in with his central targeting, and you know, how a group like AFA only sees these legitimate anti-police or family campaigns as opportunities to recruit, and on top of that, as we know from all of Mark Jenner's reporting, it provides access to activists who are violent.
Well, is there a suggestion that the doctorate student from Southampton Red Action has a violent underlying agenda?
I've no idea. I mean, I have no idea today. Maybe, let's say not. But that doesn't alter what I'm trying to get across.
If we go to the last sentence, it's fair to say that what this report is portraying is what you are describing. Harold is therefore hoping that this respectable exterior will provide AFA with cover to operate against racist attacks in Thamesmead and South East London.
Yes.
But can you help us with what's meant by operate against racist attacks?
Well, I think based on the experience now of being able to read all of Mark Jenner's reporting, and of course other officers, but we'll stick with his, yes, forgive me.
The question was...
I know, I've got it. I haven't lost
okay.
it nearly, sorry. Operate against racist attacks, it means to tackle anti-racist targets. They would, as we've seen, they would identify the far-right groups as being racist and the enemy, and that's often what Mark Jenner experienced.
Well, it says operate against racist attacks. That could mean one of two things broadly, couldn't it? It could mean either protest legitimately against them,
Yes.
or take action against them of an illegitimate kind.
Yes.
If it's a legitimate route, one can readily see, can't one, how an alliance of various anti-racist groups and campaigns might gain some momentum.
Oh, indeed, yes.
What I'm struggling with is the other potential interpretation. How would association with entirely legitimate protest groups assist AFA to commit crimes against its political opponents?
Because activists that Mark Jenner and other field officers were targeting were very adept at infiltrating legitimate groups, of using it as a form of cover, and then, to carry out what they thought was important. The two things are not in opposition. The two things...
When you say they thought important, do you mean violently attacking people from the far right? Or not?
Well, Yes, on occasions. And,
How does associating with the Lawrence family assist anybody to attack fascists?
well, it doesn't. But the two things, from the point of view of one of Mark Jenner's target group, from their perspective, the respectable, legitimate work of legitimate organisations was useful, and it would introduce them to being involved to some degree. It would introduce them to potential recruits. I think we see that in this report.
Are you saying the concern is that the anti-fascist action might recruit the Lawrences?
No, it doesn't say that, and I'm certainly not saying that.
This report is dated January 1998. That is after the Stephen Lawrence inquiry has been announced, but before the hearings start. Is the reality of this reporting that it's because the SDS is interested in what the Lawrence family is doing, who it is associating with in the run-up to the Stephen Lawrence inquiry?
No, I'm sure that it isn't.
How can you be sure?
Well, because I've read the report, I can put it into the context that I remember in broad terms. Mark Jenner's reporting, Trevor Morris's reporting, HN 81. So anyway, those three will do. I'm confident that there was never any attempt to infiltrate the Lawrence family.
Can we take that down now, please? Can we have UCPI 5035283? This is Mr. Jenner's witness statement. Can we have page 62, please? Paragraph 130. This is Mr. Jenner's written evidence about his role within London AFA as its organiser, the London organiser for AFA. Presumably you knew he had this position?
Yes.
Did you explore with him what it involved?
I would have done at the time, for sure.
Why did you permit it?
It seemed appropriate at the time.
Now?
Yes, I think so.
Why? Allowing someone to take on a leadership role. How can that be appropriate?
I think if he conducted himself in the right way, it was useful.
Did you give him any guidance as to how he should conduct himself as London organiser of AFA?
I can't recall today, but I'm sure that either myself or another member of the management team would have done.
Can we have 749473, please? This is tab B209, sir. And if we could have page 19, please. If we could expand that, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Was this the high point, so far as potential criminality is concerned, of Detective Constable Jenner's deployment, being invited to join and then joining Red Action?
I can't recall today. I'm reading a report here that's written by one of the detective sergeants, but I recognise the period. I'm fairly close to leaving the squad at this time. But yeah, I mean, I can picture the context. Was it a high point? I'm not sure.
Red Action was notorious because of Pat Hayes in particular, wasn't it?
Yes.
But Pat Hayes' involvement with Red Action predated Detective Constable Jenner's infiltration of that group, didn't it?
Yes.
And as far as you are aware, is it right to say there was no terrorist activity being committed by anyone within Red Action whilst DC Jenner was reporting?
No, to the best of my recollection, that's correct.
Was any consideration given as to whether Red Action was a group that in the summer of 1998 justified continued infiltration, or was it simply assumed that because of Pat Hayes in the past, even if the group wasn't doing very much in July 1998, the risk that it might return to such action was so great that it was worthwhile keeping somebody in place just in case?
No, I'm pretty sure that wouldn't have been the case. I think the issue would have been public order, in particular clashes between far left and far right.
Our understanding is those clashes were, there wasn't a great deal of that going on by the summer of 1998. Is that your recollection?
I don't have a clear recollection. I'd be surprised if it if it had abated. I'd be surprised.
You take that down now, please. We've had some evidence that Detective Constable Jenner used violence. We've had some evidence in particular that he was participating with anti-fascist action in an attack on a pub in Holborn, which it was alleged was instigated and led by Detective Constable Jenner, involving throwing bricks, contrary to instructions. Did DC Jenner ever report back to you anything at all about an AFA inspired disturbance at a pub in Holborn?
No, not that I can recall.
Did he ever say anything about throwing bricks?
No.
We've had evidence that he assaulted a drunken and abusive man who was looking for a fight at an Irish social, which required intervention by Mark Metcalfe and others. Did DC Jenner report back to you anything to that effect?
No.
We've had evidence that at a picket, a man sought to cross the picket line wielding a bicycle chain, and Detective Constable Jenner intervened and used force to protect those threatened by the man. Did he report anything of that ilk back to you?
I mean, not that I can recall.
S has given evidence that Detective Constable Jenner told her that he had been involved in fights and came home with cuts and bruises. Do you ever recall seeing Detective Constable Jenner with cuts and bruises?
No, I don't recollect that.
Did he ever tell you he had been involved in fights?
Well, I think I was aware, I think we were all aware that he would be involved in clashes with the far right, or in particular, but our understanding, I think, was generally that he would be adept at looking after himself, self-defence, and keeping up appearances. He wasn't frightened to be at risk of harm, but I think he could look after himself. I don't think we ever had any information that he had carried out an actual attack himself.
Can I move on to the question of a potential compromise? This is when DC Jenner bumps into a man we're calling Kurt. Can you help us, first of all, with what your reaction was to that near compromise and how you planned to mitigate the risk that arose from it?
Yes, I thought it was a close shave. I think he was walking home, and he was very close to his.
We know about the compromise. We've had his evidence about that. I'm focusing on your reaction as a manager.
My first reaction, obviously, listening to the account and my assessment, and probably I'm not sure who else was involved, but SDS management was really concerned. This was a close shave, and he handled it very well.
Yeah, well, as I say, the focus I'd like is on the management reaction. Perhaps I can assist by calling up 247048, please. This is one of Sergeant Webb's documents from April 97. Operation LFU, and then the two letters which are Kurt's initials. I'll give you a moment to refresh your memory.
Yes, yep.
So the plan, as I understand it, is put Kurt under surveillance and let's see if we can catch him committing a crime, prosecute him, and have him imprisoned, which will take him out of the equation. Is that a fair summation?
It is.
And Operation LFU, Kurt, the LFU stands for Let's Fuck Up.
Yes, and I mean, quite striking, and probably I would remember that. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to just try and remove myself from this, but I mean, I don't really remember this aspect of it. I'm not mentioned here. But there we are. I was there obviously the DI, but for some reason I don't seem to have been party to this particular, maybe I was on holiday, or who knows.
Can we take it then that the SDS considered that the operational security of DC Jenner was such that it was worth making specific efforts to catch a specific person and have them imprisoned in order to remove the risk?
Well, it's strange. I haven't come across this before, so I'm a bit surprised. But so I've never come. I can't think of any other instance along these lines.
Do you agree with that analysis of this instance?
Pardon?
Do you agree with that analysis of this instance?
Of
Is what is going on as I've just described it?
Yeah. Yes.
Could we have 527376, please? Page 9. And at section 3. This is a document that we understand to be yours, and it's a little later.
Yes. Well.
And it appears that the strategy is getting nowhere.
Yes, and it also, I stand corrected clearly whether I returned to duty or whatever, but by this point I'm clearly aware. Forgive me, I just didn't recall it.
Is the reality the plan to have Kurt prosecuted was thwarted because Kurt wasn't offending?
Oh, sorry, can you repeat that?
Was the plan to fuck up Kurt thwarted because Kurt wasn't offending?
Yes.
So would that be a convenient time to stop?
Certainly. We'll resume again tomorrow at 10 as usual.